Ahoy, matey! Welcome to episode 17 of Conspiracy Crypto Pirates.
That was quite a drastic change.
It was quite a drastic change. I thought I'd change things up. Do you know what the largest goldfish in the world is? Like how large?
17 ounces.
67 pounds.
Whatever happened to the fishbowl?
So, like with normal, I guess goldfish grow like to the size of their fish tank or whatever. And I guess if you put one in the ocean blue, it keeps growing. So, yeah, the Kraken. That's what the Kraken is actually. It's goldfish.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't even look it up, just believe me. How's it going?
Not too bad. And yourself?
Phenomenal. I'm feeling phenomenal today.
Well, that's good to hear.
Right? So last week we did a little friendly competition with.
Yes.
It was a terrible week to do it because
Beautiful week to start.
it was like cryptos were going up, and then it was like this was the week that it decided to like drop down.
Mm-hmm.
So
The correction week.
The correction week, yes. Where do you think? Actually, comment below before you see the answer. Where do you think who won, first matey or captain, and then how? What do you think our numbers were? So we put in 10 grand. I put in 10 grand into Bonk coin. You put in 10 grand into AURORA. So I'll pronounce it Aurora.
Beautiful. Beautifully said.
It's really a project that I know you feel strongly about.
Feel strongly. It's just strategic on what I did.
Right? So are you nervous who's going to win this week? Yes.
No.
You should. We forgot to have consequences.
Oh.
Maybe we'll do consequences next week.
Maybe not.
Comment down below what our consequences should be
Ooh.
for winning or losing. That's a good comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best comment wins or whatever. We do. All right. So you started out with 10 grand. Put it into this AURORA.
Okay.
Current price last week was at 50 cents per coin or whatever.
Not bad, not bad.
So last week, because it was a down week, it went down to 0.40671, so 40 cents.
Okay.
So your current holding started at 10 grand. It dropped to $8,134.
There we go.
Sounds
not
like
bad for a down week.
We'll just have to go plunder another village to come back up.
It already dropped the previous day, like what, 30% or something like that. So I got like all the ugly stuff out of the way.
Right. So and then so I put it in Bonk coin, which was at 0.00003488.
So that's 4 zeros before the numbers.
Yes, 348. And then today's value is at 4 zeros, 2267. So that brings my.
Jeez. That's not a good day.
So it brings my total of 10 grand
Okay.
down to $6,499.43. You were at 8,000. I'm at 6,450. So you won by about $1,700. Or should I say
Expert here. Expert.
Well, technically we both lost money last week, but you still came out ahead.
But I get paid more. I lost less.
And for the sake of time, for this coming week, we both have chosen a new coin. Do you remember what your coin was?
Yes.
Okay.
It was Shiba Inu.
Shiba Inu. So we're going to do another 10 grand wager.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting 10 grand in. Shiba Inu current price is at quad 0 or 0.0002762 at 10 grand. I'm going to put it into Dogecoin this week. Dogecoin is at 16 cents, so 0.16622. So 16 and a half cents.
Okay.
So that is that. And going into Dogecoin, I heard some interesting news with Dogecoin.
Yes.
Is
insider trading, and I didn't know this was a
Right.
$10,000 wager.
if you want to, yeah.
Good thing it's paper money.
But Dogecoin, so Coinbase there's like rumors that Coinbase is going to be launching a futures. I think it's like futures ETF, but like a futures trading with Dogecoin, April 1st, which is really going to spike up the what do you call it? How much money is just flowing into it. And according to their news article or whatever they wrote or talked about, they were basically saying that they think that Dogecoin has extended beyond the meme stage of its life.
Ooh.
And is moving on. Yes.
That's weird. So what is going to be the useful practicality besides being a meme coin?
I think so. The back end, there's obviously talks that Musk is going to incorporate it in with Twitter, as far as how either maybe paying creators with it, or maybe it's inner, like I pay you type of thing. You pay me for different services or whatever within Twitter. And then I know this, like starting like today or yesterday and today, a lot of whales are dumping a lot of money into Dogecoin right now. So we'll see. That's just kind of a random tangent on that.
Well, if whales are dumping money into it, it's going to flap.
Yeah, and part
They're
of
going
it.
to keep it low.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, I mean, a lot of the reason why the whales might be dumping money into it is we just had a down week. I mean, they play the markets too. So
yeah,
I think we probably hit a somewhat of a bottom for the next foreseeable future,
we'll have
couple
another
months.
solid run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
It sounds like a disclaimer right there. Yeah. That's our disclaimer. Slow it down to get all the details.
Please slow it down. If you slow that part down, you'll have a hidden message. Maybe play it backwards.
I really don't want to know what this hidden message is. Just like the rock and rolls, if you play it backwards, it has a different message, supposedly.
The devil's eating a hot dog. That's usually what it is. I go, oh, did you know that there was hidden meaning within the message? Don't eat hot dogs.
Actually, hot dogs aren't bad for you. There's a couple brands that are decent, but in general, hot dogs is just like a blender of all the bad stuff.
Well, exactly. Wouldn't that be considered like a? We're always told to recycle, so we're just recycling the meat.
No, we're not supposed to be the recycling bin. I think you forgot that.
See, Americans are so concerned about recycling that we are the recyclers. That's why.
That's why we use so much plastic, so we can have a lot of plastic in our bodies.
Have you heard the power of copper pyramids?
I haven't heard of a copper pyramid.
So no. Like when I say copper pyramids, so you can build like a copper pyramid out of like copper pipe or wiring, like just to make a little pyramid structure.
Like how big does it have to be?
It doesn't have.
Should I put it up on my roof?
Sure, if you can get a big one. But like I'm talking like it could be the size of, foot by foot.
Like yay tall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's supposedly, excuse me,
Do I have to sit underneath it cross-legged?
You can.
Okay.
No, supposedly they have healing properties.
Ooh.
As well as
It's supposed to sound interesting.
You mean this topic doesn't interest you?
I'm just thinking about going to some churches here and
delivering copper pyramids. But this is what's interesting. Supposedly, if you take a copper pyramid, you can preserve food with it. So if you put a piece of fruit or whatever underneath this copper pyramid, it won't go rancid for an indefinite amount of time.
Like forever?
Supposedly.
Okay,
and you
sorry,
can.
There's a fly.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, really?
It's the copper pyramid.
I've been preserved.
But then you can also crack an egg underneath a copper pyramid.
Okay.
And you can leave indefinitely that egg cracked there and then just add some water and it's perfectly fine.
You don't forget to add the water.
But no one's lived to tell about it. Not just teasing. So that'd be a fun experiment to try. We should have like a little table here, a little copper pyramid, and some rancid fruit. And see if the flies come.
Like, does it have to have a bottom to it too?
What I saw was just like metal piping and just put the objects underneath of it. And I don't know, there's a lot of weird stuff with copper. A lot of people swear by the use of copper.
So also, if you have a bad orange, or let's say a peach that went bad.
Sure.
And you put it underneath this copper pyramid.
It'll stay bad.
It'll stay bad unless you get an old-fashioned pre-World War II bell, steeple bell, and just ring the bell, and it should rejuvenate it.
Well, it should.
The bell has healing properties.
As long as that copper pyramid has a little steeple on top, so it can get the atmospheric energy that Nikola Tesla obviously knew.
Right. Do we have to plug it in too for when the lightning strikes?
You do have just the right timing at the time. Right? Don't forget your tinfoil hat. Oh, man.
Yes, we went to Harvard. Yes. We're educated. We're very smart people.
We're very educated.
So if you dare say that we're not smart, we'll remind you that our fake diploma from Harvard.
As you can see.
Who needs Harvard when we got this?
Yeah, we got the best view in town. We got a pirate ship. But I know you being a pirate and you love the ship. What?
You said I love the ship.
You do. You love the ship. But you really have your eyes in the sky because you want to go flying, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I also like my feet on solid wood on the water.
Right. But I have the perfect aviation airplane for you.
Ooh.
It's affordable.
Okay.
It's only $10,000.
I thought you said it was affordable.
Well, I mean,
if I win the wager.
Yes, if you win the wager.
My paper money that I can tin.
You're like, just go print it. Right. It's paper money. It's about as good as our money. So this airplane, $10,000.
Okay.
It's called the Cricket. You can probably see where I'm going with this. It's very small.
Is it slow too?
Actually, for being a Cricket, it's not bad. It's the world's smallest airplane. It's called the Cricket. It was designed by a French engineer and cost $10,000 to build. It does cost $10,000 to build, so you might have to put it together. So the Cricket measures...
Shipping and handling free.
Probably not, because they can't just fly it to you. It has to be
Well, if it's
shipped.
boxed, then...
That's true. So the size of it is 12.8 feet long by about 4 feet wide. And it weighs about 165 pounds.
That's actually super light.
Yeah, you can maneuver that Cricket all over. Despite its small size, it can reach impressive speeds of 137 miles an hour.
Wow.
I know, right? I was like...
Are you sure it's not in knots?
Yeah, because I converted everything. And
good, because I was like, I have no clue what knots is. It's like, they say it's knots. I'm like, it's like close to miles?
As a captain of the sea, I know exactly the difference between knots.
You're the captain.
And exactly. But anyway, it can fly up to 15,000 feet, which that sounds very scary in a Cricket.
You're spending $10,000 and you're going to get 15,000 feet up.
It has a range of 497 miles.
Okay.
Which 500 miles in a Cricket going 15,000 feet up, going 137 miles per hour? That's not bad. Okay. The main purpose design of the plane was to make an economic and convenient way of transportation. It can take off on a runway of 656 feet.
Okay.
So you need a little space.
It can land on the house.
Yeah. Takeoff maximum weight is 397.
Well, that excludes me then.
Right.
Well, with you.
And because of its small size, taller individuals will struggle to get in this
I
thing.
was just curious on how tall it was because I was wondering if you'd had to lay down.
But yeah,
I
thought it was funny. The cricket.
The cricket. Wonder why you chose that name.
Because it's tiny. But you would think you'd call it the firefly or the fly or something. Right? Those are probably taken by other failed aviation equipment.
Well, if they're failed, then they can't sue.
Well, yeah, and what's crazy is it was talking about how it only takes a couple days to learn how to fly it, and you don't need a license to fly it.
Is it like those drones that are under like
a certain size?
A certain weight that you don't need a license to fly it?
I don't know. But it seems like
it's under a certain weight, so
it's like you don't need a license, but you could still fly into somebody's house.
Right. You can't fly over 400 feet because that's when you get into the aviation level.
And, yeah, above 15,000
But you can go 15,000
feet. That sounds cold. 15,000 feet in a cricket.
I wonder what kind of motor it has in it.
I have no idea.
Because if it only weighs what was the total weightage?
It was...
Wow, that's thunder.
Oh, wow. What was the weight? 165 pounds.
165 pounds. That's you're pretty much stealing the lawnmower.
That's true. Yeah, it can't be a big engine.
Yeah.
You probably have to take off with the wind to really get out of it.
I wonder if the wings flap so you can get up to the 15,000 feet.
Probably.
Oh, my.
But
that's why they didn't let me design it.
But yeah, did you know that there's 2 presidents of the United States, or in the United States?
2.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we do the changing?
No.
Nope.
Prepare to be amazed.
All right, I'm amazed. I'm already amazed.
So one of them is widely known.
Okay.
Of the current president of the United States. The other one is within the United States, but he is the president of the Republic of Malaysia.
Oh. In the United States.
In the United States.
You worded that well. Well played.
The Republic of Malaysia is a self-declared country on U.S. territory located in Nevada.
What? Like Malaysia, the country Malaysia, but the Republic, what?
Yes. Republic of Malaysia. Malaysia is not
Malaysia, but the Republic of Malaysia, that's not in Malaysia.
Correct.
Okay, I'm thoroughly confused now.
So this location is in Nevada. It covers 11.3 acres.
Oh, man. I'm threatened now.
This micronation consists of 39 residents. Its capital is only has one city, which obviously on 11 acres, there's only going to be one city.
Is there even a feasibility of having a city on 11 acres?
With 39 residents, sure.
There's 39 residents?
Yes.
I thought that was a village. Are you sure it's not a village?
Well, it's a micronation, so it's a micro city.
I think it's a village nation. It's
the micronation has its own flag, its own president. Okay, the currency of the Republic of Malaysia is cookie dough. And
are you joking?
I am not joking. It's cookie dough is the money, and it's currently.
So do you have to go through customs every single time you go in and out?
Probably. So it's currently
sneaking in more cookie dough. The inflation of cookie dough. We cannot allow cookie dough to be snuck in.
So they are still under.
Is there a minimum weight that you have to be
400 pounds?
400 pounds. I need to eat more cookie dough.
Okay. They're still at war with They have declared a state of war with East Germany.
Huh?
Back in the 40s. When
East Germany.
Yeah.
Like
right?
the Soviet Union controlled Germany.
Yes.
That used to be the Soviet Union.
Which is no longer, but they're still at war with them.
So they're at war with the Soviet Union.
Sure.
Or they declared...
They declared war when it was that, and they just have never undeclared war.
Okay.
And so the Republic of Malaysia has not been officially recognized by the U.S., but it operates freely as long as it obeys all laws. It's like, do you want to go do your role play thing? Sure. As long as you don't break any laws.
The cookie dough makes sense for now the currency, because you can't have your own currency if you have to abide by all laws. You can't bring in your own currency. So
that makes sense. Oh, and the president's name is Bob.
Has there been like a movie or show made out of this?
I don't know. There should be.
I really want to watch it now. My name's Bob. I'm the president.
I feel like
of the Republic of Malaysia.
I feel like this is a failed cult. He was like, I'm trying to get this thing going, but man, I can only get 39 people.
So how do you become a citizen of this? Like, if everything goes bad here in America, I'm going to escape to the 11 acres of the Republic of Malaysia.
Except for well, you have to obey all laws in the U.S.
Well, I mean, but you're still escaping. Like, do I get a different passport?
Do you get a stamp when you come in? Oh, man, you have to bribe them with cookies. But realistically, I'm sure it's just like a touristy trap thing. Like, they set up.
I wonder if they have their own like customs and they stamp.
They probably do all that for their little...
Yeah, that'd be weird. Do you have to be born inside of the 11 acres to be able to claim residency and have...
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But... But speaking of government stuff, Benjamin Franklin, I thought this was really interesting, is when they were... he basically had a say when they were doing the construction of the Capitol.
Okay.
Because he was going to have an office.
Oh, I thought we just moved in there and just dug it out from the mud pits.
Different story.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But when they were building it, Benjamin Franklin was like well-versed in sciences and so forth, and understood like sounds and sound waves and how sound bounced off walls and stuff. So the way that the Capitol is built is because it's like a dome or a circle area, the way sound bounces off the walls, there's a focal point, one spot in the building where you can hear like a whisper. Like if somebody whispers over here, you can be across the room in this one focal point and hear it.
Interesting.
And that's where he placed his desk, was right at that focal point, or his office, or, so he could hear like anybody's conversation. Brilliant.
I wonder if they excluded that spot
now. Well, I mean, I feel like now.
Also, Benjamin Franklin was really good at the science of flying kites.
Yeah. And keys.
And keys.
But no, I mean, like now, I feel like probably a lot of like meetings or private conversations isn't going to be happening in the Capitol building, like the main thing. Or back in the day, I mean, it was one hub.
Probably just talking to all the people.
Yeah. But so like as far as it mattering now, it probably wouldn't. But in its day, in its time, it probably
just imagine you're sitting there and there's like 50 different conversations. You're like, sensory overload.
I know. I mean, or just scoot your chair back.
You're just like, oh, peace and quiet. Oh no, I'm in it again.
Oh man.
So if you see me leaning back, you'll know why I can't listen to this guy anymore. No, I thought that was pretty fascinating. Almost definitely.
Absolutely fascinating. Absolutely. Do you have anything for me?
Oh, shoot.
If you want me to.
Nah, you'd rather just see me walk the plank.
I would like to see you walk the plank. Maybe that's what our consequences should be.
Oh, so did you know there's one person that has the ability of having Donald Trump not run for president? And Donald Trump said that he wouldn't if this guy would team up with him.
Okay. Oh, would team up with him?
Mm-hmm. Guess who this one guy is?
Byron?
No.
Who?
LeBron James.
What?
So if LeBron, Trump's thought process on this is that he would get LeBron James and a bunch of other NBA players, and then they would all claim to be women, and then compete in the WNBA. Then Trump would then be the coach or the head manager or whatever, fund this team, and they would be the greatest WNBA team of all time to ever exist.
And how would that keep him from running for president?
He said that he wouldn't run for president if that would happen. So LeBron James, you and only you can prevent Trump.
LBJ. Wow, that really had me going for a loop. I was like trying to like piece it all together.
Right?
And I'm like, what?
I was listening to like an old speech of his, and he said that. It was just, I'm like, oh, LeBron James. We're hoping on LeBron James right now.
Oh, man. But did you know that in 2010, the Federal Reserve had their like 100th year anniversary?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Did you know that the Federal Reserve had their 100th year anniversary in 2010?
No.
Yeah. And guess where they had the party?
Jackal Island.
Yes. They had.
That is weird.
Isn't that crazy? It's like they know. They know what they're doing.
Right?
So, yeah, 2010, they had their 100th year anniversary party on Jackal Island where it was established.
Which is, I think, somewhere down in Georgia.
Yeah.
On the coastline.
Yes. And they had, and Jackal Island before all that was like an Indian tribe area.
And the Jackal Indians?
Well, I'm not sure what tribe, but it sounded like it was like a very pagan Indian group.
Yeah.
That like sacrificed,
human sacrifices
and everything. Yeah. And they picked that area supposedly because of that.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah. Like there's so much darkness around this whole thing. And they like built these buildings on top of these burial mounds that they had.
Oh, wow.
And they did.
Wonder how they got that environmental.
Yeah, right. But anyway, I thought that was very interesting and like a nod to the old times and
right. Well, the president at the time that pretty much let the Federal Reserve become the Federal Reserve was like, yeah, that's my biggest regret.
That's crazy.
Doing that.
And well, yeah, that is crazy. And supposedly, the like birth certificates, the Federal Reserve has their hands in like birth certificates.
Okay.
And they like almost issue them, like there's a value to them for the Federal Reserve, and they sell that value or like birth certificates to like other entities.
Interesting.
It's very weird.
I've also heard that the birth certificates are held. What is the territory?
Georgia?
No. It's a island. Oh, why can't I think of it right now?
Jackal.
That's all I can think of.
But an island in the U.S. or
Puerto Rico, I think.
Okay.
It's a territory of the United States. I hear they hold the birth certificates, like the legitimate birth certificates there. But that's
so weird.
Like that would be a conspiracy to go with that conspiracy of them holding the like each birth certificate has a unique value to it that the United States can then take a loan
Right.
Which, if you can take a loan off of another individual, what does that make that individual?
A slave. Yeah, exactly.
That is weird.
And with the Federal Reserve system, with the government, so they're two separate entities, government, Federal Reserve. When the government borrows money from the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve prints money, they automatically have to pay interest on the money that's created, which means it can never be dissolved. Because if government or me or whatever, I need $10 to pay back my interest. So where do I get $10? From the Federal Reserve. Well, now I have to pay interest on that $10. Where do I get money to pay off the interest of that? The Federal Reserve.
I wonder why. Supposedly, throughout history, the people that, or the nation that is the world currency, like the United States
that issues the world currency?
Yeah, it only lasts about 80 years.
Yeah.
And right now, I think we're like 20 or 30 years overdue on that.
Yeah, overdue, because if it was 100 years of the establishment of the Federal Reserve.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly when that time came. But yeah. It was close. Close enough in around that time frame.
Right.
I think it was kind of closer to like the 30s or something like that, 30s and 40s. But I think we're like 20 to 30 years overdue.
Right.
If I'm remembering right.
That would be right.
And then in the 70s, we switched over to a fiat currency from a gold-backed system. And that fiat currency typically lasts, I think, 30 years. So I think we're 20 years overdue on that. And so the U.S. dollar is overdue on a fiat currency and overdue on being the world currency, which we see a lot of the BRIC nations coming in, trying to create something. I don't know if all those nations have enough goodwill towards each other to be able to create a currency that they can all agree on.
Unless they come to the table with basically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they don't want to be reliant on the U.S. dollar. So I would rather be in bed with this person over here or this country over here. It might not be perfect situation for me, but it's better than the US dollar.
But I mean, so India and China have been fighting over the Himalaya mountain range and where those lines are drawn. And India has their a line of guards here, and then they have a line the militaries are just facing each other. Well, I guess at one point, I forget when this happened, but a couple years ago, they went and attacked each other.
Yeah.
But they couldn't use any of their weapons, so they were using sticks and stones to and they're just doing a good old street brawl.
Why couldn't they use their weapons?
Well, because if you fire a shot, then they're not authorized.
Oh, they're not authorized to go to war?
They're not authorized to go to war.
But they hate each other.
But yeah, and so they're throwing rocks and hitting them with 2x4s and sticks.
I feel like
you're on top of this mountain in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
you're
man.
doing this. I think a couple guys actually got hospitalized.
Oh, I bet. Well, I was just thinking, it takes that one person that gets hit over the head with a 2x4 and gets really mad and just pulls out their gun and shoots the other one. Enough of this.
Right? They probably all just went all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
A good old boys battle. That's hilarious.
Oh, my.
But diving back into weird situations, have you heard of Menugate?
Menugate? No.
So, there's this guy, his name's Cody, and he's a resident in Atlanta.
And he's a chef.
He is not a chef.
Why is there a menu then?
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
So he lives in this apartment complex building, 800 units. And in every single door of his apartment is a Chinese menu that's shoved in, for advertisement, somebody went around and shoved them in. He goes out and the menu falls to the ground when he's gonna go to work or whatever, and he picks it up, throws it in, shuts the door, and he goes to work. Then he comes back and this has been about a week's time goes by,
Okay.
and he looks around. Every single door in the hallway has menus still in it over a week since the Chinese menu was put in there. So then he goes up and down the floors of this like apartment complex. Every single one, it's been a week, still has a Chinese menu in there. Pop, 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 pop.
Well, was he in China in one of those cities that they just built?
Right? No, it was in Atlanta, Georgia. Or it was in Atlanta.
Weird.
So then he's like, am I living in a simulation or what? Like, this is really weird. He goes down to the parking garage and he pays closer attention to all the cars in the parking garage. They all have like a layer of dust on them. Like they haven't moved in a long time. So then, with all this in mind, he's like, his eyes kind of opened up and he's kind of like paying more attention. And he noticed like all the restaurants around his area, there's always like one person at the restaurant talking on the phone. And he was like starting to like overhear their conversations. Every single one, all the conversations are exactly the same conversation.
Was he on LSD?
And yeah, no. So then he's like, are we living in a simulation? So then he goes back to his apartment complex and he's like looking for a fire alarm. Can't find one for a long time. Then he like finds a fire alarm in the stairwell of one of the buildings, or in his building. He pulls it and he runs out of the building to see if like people will be rushing out. Not a single soul came out of the building when the fire alarm was pulled.
Well, maybe you don't do it during work time.
I don't know when he did it, but not one, like this building was an 800 like apartment complex.
Yeah.
And not one person came out besides him.
Well, maybe it was just a failed project.
But they still sold him an apartment?
Well, I would take the money.
You take one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pay me, what, $300,000, $400,000 for a small little apartment, and you're like, well, sure, why not?
Maybe, but why would there be cars in the basement? Like, if that was the case, there'd be only my car in the basement. You know? It's weird. Just admit it.
Or the guy's weird.
Or the guy's weird. Oh, man. Do you have anything?
Do I have anything? I do, but
This is great conversation.
Oh. So, so the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
Who do you think's profiting from that?
A lot of people. Probably the U.S.
Well, yeah, but what kind of industries?
In the U.S. Oh. What kind of industries? I would definitely say like defense type.
Yeah, definitely the defense type. But one that I thought was very interesting is the oil companies. Okay. Because remember when the Nord Stream pipeline blew up? It was like, at that point, the prices of natural gas skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And I remember paying double for what I was paying.
Yeah.
And it never crossed my mind at the time. But now looking back at it, it's like the oil and natural gas people were probably raking in billions of dollars.
Because now they can double the price of their...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, weird. And then now we have to supply to many different areas as well.
Right.
And
at double the cost. Yeah. So now they're...
And then you had another pipeline that was going from, like, what, Canada to the Gulf?
Okay.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And Biden stopped that with, like, 2 feet left to go, it seemed like.
Okay.
Like, we had, like, a couple more months before it was done. And for, like, environmental concerns or whatever. But that would have, like, allowed gas and not to all go down again.
Wow.
Because it's really cheap up there, but the most expensive thing was transporting it, and you're so close to being able to transport it.
Right.
So...
And then Then in the time of if they absolutely had to, an emergency, open up that next natural gas line. They only had 2 feet to finish it. Boom, it's done. And
yeah. But
Man.
no, I think it almost seems like there's an abundance of it that we're just keeping locked down, kind of like the diamonds. If you keep the diamonds all locked down and hidden, then you can sell them for what, the 7th most expensive per weight.
Right. Craziness.
Like one was what? Antimatter.
Oh yeah.
That was like, that's number 1.
Yeah. I would love to have just a piece of antimatter.
Right.
Not sure what I would do.
Oh, my hand's missing. Oops. Look how small it is.
I don't even know what I would do if I caught it.
Right.
Oh, man. It reminds me of this story of a time traveler.
Okay.
So, supposedly, this time traveler came from the year 2714. So
2714.
Yes.
So 700 years. Yeah.
Yeah, from now.
Ahead of our time.
Right.
Yes.
And what's interesting is this person has a bunch of predictions for 2024.
Ooh, what are they?
So, prediction number 1, on April 6th, I love how specific these are, because it's like, oh, you can, check them out. So on April 6th, there's going to be the largest tornado in recorded history in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay. Shorting the housing market.
Right. It's going to be like over 15 miles wide with 650-mile-an-hour winds. And it's going to be considered the first F6 tornado.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. Mark it down in the calendars.
So is that why the F15 and F16, is that like rated on the same level?
Wind chill or whatever. I know it's not wind chill, guys. You don't have to comment down below. Ooh,
Please do. Please do.
Yes.
Let us know how dumb he is.
So May 27th, this is coming up, there's going to be a second civil war in the United States.
May 2nd.
Yes, started by Texas, and then that is going to lead into World War III.
A civil war leading into a world war.
Whew. Which, I mean, would make sense. Like, if you're out of the United States and you see, like, turmoil within, and then it's like, oh, they're weak, hit them now. And then World War III happens. So in that regard, it kind of makes sense, like, why it would turn into a World War III.
Okay.
Anyway. Nuclear weapons used. Okay, so that's
just kick the British out of your own country.
Right. September 1st, alien named the Champion takes 12,000 people from another planet. So September 1st, an alien named Champion is coming to Earth to take 12,000 people. Sounds like a movie or show. September 19th, so only like 18 days later, the first ever Category 6 hurricane hits the West Coast mainland.
Okay.
So California will get hit hard. And then November 3rd, the largest creature discovered in the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to be like six times the size of a blue whale. And it's going to be called Syron Kron. Syrian Kron. So something to look forward to. How come all the future predictions are all negative stuff?
Right.
Nothing positive.
I mean, just think about it, like the future predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to make a future prediction, at least make it where you already made your money and you're dead.
Like further out in the future?
Yeah.
Like, in 2060.
Mm-hmm. Or 2180 or something like that.
Right.
This is going to happen.
Right.
Like, okay. Like.
Right.
End of the world. And the only way we can stop it, and the reason why I came back now, is to do this.
The only caveat is if this person could be making money now, because, like, okay, everybody knows and thinks that 2024 could be a chaotic year in general.
Okay.
And then...
Not too far out.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, if I make these predictions, whether they're true or not or whatever, it's going to be somewhat believable by individuals. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I could see all this bad stuff happening in 2024 because we're kind of expecting it.
Yeah.
So then you could be selling a bunch of, I don't know if he's selling anything or what it would be. So he could sort of capitalize now. Yeah. Get your vitamins now. Get your vitamins now before the crawfish comes.
And water supply.
Yeah. Hurricane, giant fish, which maybe, well, because the hurricane happens first on the West Coast, and then that giant sea creature comes.
Isn't it supposed to happen after the giant sea creature? At least in Japan. It works that way in Japan.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking maybe the creature causes the hurricane. He's swimming up from the deep, churns up the water. This is definitely scientific.
Definitely.
Fact.
You
Not
heard the
theory.
facts here first, folks.
Yep. Very, very true.
Someone's from the future.
From 21, what was it? 27, what, that's hard to say. 2714.
2714.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a confusing year that year. People are going to be like, I can't remember how to say it. 2714.
Oh, man. But yeah, I've got another conspiracy for you.
Okay, shoot.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of the glitter conspiracy?
I've heard of churches pouring it out of their vents.
No, different one.
Oh, okay.
But hey, maybe you might be right on this one. So, there was a glitter shortage last year. So then the New York Times did like an article, or wanted to do an article on it. So they sent a reporter to this glitter manufacturer. So there's one glitter manufacturer. The company's like Glitter X or something. X.
Ooh.
Why is it always X? But anyway, the company's Glitter X, and they've got 2 plants, I believe it is, and they're both in like New York area on the East Coast.
Huh. I didn't think glitter would have been made here.
Right. Well, you'll understand why.
Okay.
So, being close, New York Times, they wanted to do...
security.
Yeah, well, maybe. They wanted to do a report, an article on why there's a glitter shortage. You'd think it'd be no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Send a reporter out there, and they're like, yeah, you can't tour the factory. And the guy's like, well, why not? And he's like, it's secret. We can't let you tour the factory. And he's like, well...
How you make glitter's a secret?
Well, that's what's weird. And then he's like, he was kind of kept egging on, and they're like, no, we can't even let you, like, you can't even hear how we manufacture it. Like, they specifically said you can't even hear it.
Weird.
Which is weird. And I was like, well, they have a bunch of aliens back there. I come to another planet. Send me the glitter. So then he's like, okay, this is very weird. So then they kind of did like an off-campus interview, very controlled environment. And he's trying to get just any information to write some kind of story for the New York Times. So then he's asking him, oh, like, who's your largest clients that buy glitter? You know, since we're seeing a shortage. One of them was like jet ski manufacturers for paint.
Okay.
Another one was like football helmets.
Okay.
And then their largest buyer...
I knew that men were the biggest buyers of glitter.
Well, we don't know because we don't know the largest. So their largest client, they specifically would not go into who their largest client is.
Okay.
They wouldn't answer any questions. They basically said that that individual or that buyer does not want people to know that they use glitter in their product.
Maybe it's the missile defense contractors that they're biggest and brightest idea was throwing glitter out all on the ground to try and confuse.
Right? So is it a government, like you said, like a company, or is it like the whole chemtrail thing? Use glitter in the sky. So there's the government angle. And then you think, okay, if it's not a government angle.
Is that why clouds are always so shiny?
Right? That's where unicorns come from.
That's why you always have to wear sunscreen, even when it's cloudy out.
You're right.
Because of the glitter.
And now I know why they wouldn't let them tour the factory or listen to it. Because they've got unicorns back there.
Oh.
And they're probably torturing the unicorns to let out glitter. You know, poop it out. They produce glitter. We solved it.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved. And
we don't even need to sail to New York now. I was just about to let the sails down.
But what's funny is, okay, if it isn't a government entity buying glitter, you never knew the U.S. military needed glitter. But, okay, go to another, who else would be a large glitter manufacturer? Or like a large company that would use glitter that they wouldn't want you knowing that the glitter's in. One thought I had, and I heard and I thought, like, okay, maybe. So glitter's made up of aluminum and plastic, basically. That's terrible for the environment. It never decays, basically.
Okay.
It's always there. And it's toxic as far as, like, you can't eat it, or you shouldn't eat it or consume it. So one thought I had is, what about toothpaste? Because like toothpaste is kind of glittery. Technically, you don't consume toothpaste.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm sure you do.
It's gritty, so it helps
bind the content. They don't want people to know that there's glitter in toothpaste. And I don't know, maybe it would launch a like an investigation if it was widely known, and they don't want an investigation done.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of baking soda toothpaste.
Yeah, but haven't you seen the
gritty stuff?
Yeah,
but yeah,
like it.
But that stuff isn't glittery. But the normal toothpaste is.
And then the other thing is maybe like makeups or like lip balm and stuff, glittery. You don't consume it, but I mean, if it's on your lips, something's going in, you know? Right? Right? I don't know. It's like weird. It's like, it's weird that they're so secretive. Like, why is it such a secret? And they wouldn't even let the guy tour the factory or come close to it because they don't want him hearing it. Like, that's weird, the whole hearing thing.
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense.
Bizarre.
Absolutely bizarre. But yeah. What do you got for me?
So, going back to the menu gate.
Yeah.
I had a menu gate situation happen to me today.
Realistic.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I was driving, and this guy just starts merging over into my lane.
Okay.
And luckily, there's a big enough shoulder on the side, so I get over, and I'm just laying on my horn, and he's just like, whoop. And so I get around, I pass him.
Okay.
And he's just like, I'm like,
okay.
But that's about it.
Oh, what does that have to do with menu?
It's just, that guy programmed path. Just go. And I wasn't in.
Gotcha.
I got off work a little later, or a little earlier than I was supposed to. And I wasn't supposed to be there.
That makes sense. That reminds me of, have you ever seen your neighbors get groceries?
I remember growing up and going with my mom to go get some groceries or whatever. Every once in a while, you would see people there.
At the grocery store.
At the grocery store.
But I'm talking like when you get home, you know how you unload your car.
Oh, your neighbors
taking groceries out of their car, putting it, into their house.
Maybe growing up, but not really.
Exactly. No one can remember seeing a neighbor. But everybody does it. Like, you can remember pulling groceries out of your car and doing it. So the theory is that we're living in a simulation.
Okay.
And basically getting groceries is not important to you, or not getting your neighbor getting groceries is not important to you.
Yes.
Unless you specifically know that neighbor, you you're friends with them, then that person becomes like a video game important to you. Like almost like a video game when you go like interact with an NPC, and then all of a sudden you see that specific NPC doing stuff. So then the simulation is like that person's important, and they start like showing you things about them because it sort of starts affecting your life.
Interesting.
But then, most people don't even know their neighbors.
I guess really the only time you really see that, and especially on a large scale, is like a video game. Like someone like, what is that? Very pixel.
Grand Theft Auto?
No. You build your own world and keep building it out.
Minecraft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that, like you would see, or something of that nature, where you build this town, and then like the only thing for them to really do is like come and go, and then maybe carry a bag in and out,
Right.
And so it's like that's like the only really time,
right?
But usually you never see people going to their car or out, unless you're like hanging out,
right,
doing something in your front yard,
But
now I'm just going to sit up and be like with my binoculars, be like, "There's groceries." Yes, not in a simulation. Whoo!
And they're like, "Hi, how are you?" And you're like, "You're part of my life."
They just turn and just look at you. You're like, "How do you know I'm looking through my window?"
Because there's two green dots looking at it. Oh my gosh. No, it's funny. It's one of those things that makes you stop and think for sure. I'm looking for any more topics that I didn't talk about. Ooh, I didn't talk about that one.
So, what's going on with cryptos? You said Dogecoin is going to be getting out of the meme stage. That was fascinating to me. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
And getting more of a real life use, practical application to it, which is going to be through Twitter or X now.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Or start there.
You could probably, like I was talking with you earlier, and you're saying that someone brought up the mention to Elon Musk, when are you going to start accepting Dogecoin for Tesla? And he's like, "Oh, it's about time to do that, isn't it?"
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Right.
So maybe they might be bringing that into, so like if you want that Cybertruck, you might want to go stuff some, what is it, Dogecoin underneath your pillow.
Yeah, right.
Wait a couple months and hopefully you can buy it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, besides that and timing, I think it's just a culmination of things. Like,
and then also the moon rocket launch.
Exactly.
That never has happened. That's supposed to happen.
It was supposed to happen years ago. Pushed back. Then like, January. Or December, January, February. And it's like, okay, they're obvious to me, especially now. They're obviously waiting for something. They're waiting for a time.
Maybe they're waiting for the studio that NASA used so they can actually have it look similar to the original.
Right? They have to rebuild the set.
Got to get exact. What were the measurements?
The camera pans and there's a 1970s car. No, man.
It's just a little model house that they went.
Or like when they show the video of when the
nuclear bomb.
No, when the spaceship thing that landed on the moon then leaves the moon to go back to the Earth. Have you seen that video?
I vaguely.
It is so bad. It's like it goes, and there's this like little
dust.
Kinda, but it looks like a little like firecracker that goes like a little fake spark thing, and
Maybe that's where all the glitter went.
and then it goes up like it's on a crane. Like it's not like a like boom,
Going straight
it's
up,
like
yeah.
blink, fireworks, and then like like I'm like, oh, you could have faked it better.
I mean, they probably were under a time crunch.
Back then, oh wow. And the TVs are, garbage quality.
Right.
Well, that was funny. I actually watched this like small documentary history thing on like the television.
Okay.
And like the first television, it was this huge box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the screen on it was literally the circle speedometer looking thing. Like the size of your speedometer. And it was like, oh, a portal into the future or something. It was so like, wow.
Yeah. So, like growing up, talking about bad quality.
Yeah.
Growing up, we had the tube TV, and we would watch like Looney Tunes, and you'd put it through like the cassette player or VCR player, and it would be like grainy and splotchy. I watched Looney Tunes like when I got out of like high school and I was in my college era, and I was watching this on someone else's TV, and they were playing it for their kids, and I'm like, what is that? Like that, like, no, I recognize that. That's the old Looney Tunes. I'm like, who knew it was such good quality? I'm like, that's not Looney Tunes. Like, I was like, I'm done. It's over. It's ruined for me.
That's funny.
Like, I didn't like the good quality.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Well, yeah, I guess nostalgia.
Yeah.
And weird. That's crazy. But, yeah, the TVs were crazy. Like, and then of course it's going through the years and they're changing, and there's still massive boxes. It looks like furniture, basically, like literally furniture, and it's like wow. And then there were $10,000 for these things.
Yeah.
And like 10,000 then would have been
back then. Yeah.
So much money.
Yeah.
And
and then remember, everything was built for the tube TVs that were square.
Yeah.
And so, like, all the furniture pieces to hold it had the big square thing.
Yeah.
And you go, like, now, like, people are trying to get rid of them and sell them. You're like, oh, that'd be nice. And you're like, you can't fit your TV in it. And you're just like, no wonder why they sold it.
It was like the original Instagram. It was a square picture.
Right.
That's funny.
Like going back even to like the first couple generations of the iPhone.
Yeah.
It's just like, that is so bad. Like, the screen was a rectangle, but it was almost a square.
Right. And the backs
you had
were
like
bubbled.
Big, huge,
big old borders. It's funny. I mean, for us, it seems like, oh, the iPhone wasn't that long ago. But I mean, they've been out for since 2008.
Yeah.
I mean, 14 years? No, 16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right? That's crazy. And it's like they've come a long way, but they also seem very similar.
Yeah.
But they have come.
Like, if you look at the difference between there and now, you're like, wow. But if you look at each upgrade, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think the biggest upgrade that they have done recently is getting rid of the menu button and just going to like the full screen.
Right. Yeah. Probably.
I remember when that happened, I'm like, I'm never going to use that. Like, that's stupid. And now it's
I like my button.
Right? Like, you had the thumbprint on it and everything.
Right.
And it's like, how are you going to do the thumbprint?
I'm going to scan my face. I don't want them to scan my face. And then everybody just lets them scan their face.
Right. I don't even like it, but at least Apple supposedly says that they don't let that it stays on your device.
Right.
Like,
they're in it. Right. They're in this huge lawsuit thing right now, Apple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know all the details to it, but it's like, oh, because it's unfair, like basically a monopoly on the mobile phone market, and it's like 5-tier lawsuit be like, you've been unfair to developers and you've been unfair to individuals buying the devices.
Yeah, like you pretty much Apple, you do not have the right to repair your own device.
What you do now?
You do, but they they're like, okay, then we'll solder everything in.
Well, yeah, but that's design choice. Okay. But like for me in that instance, not to like be an Apple lover or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, they're a private company. They can build a device however they want. And they can sell it to you however they want. If they solder everything on and you're like, I like that. That's a value to me. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you drop it, like, yeah, it does make it more secure in that aspect.
It does, but like you decided to buy that device the way it's built.
Yeah, but I've watched some people that are like work on Apple devices specifically, and they're like, yeah, we can't even work on them anymore. It's just becoming more and more proprietary.
Yeah.
That they can't even get the tools to fix them.
Right. And I think just more and more stuff is being like system on a chip. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, you get the M1 chip that now has the RAM,
everything,
the CPU, the GPU. And you solder in the hard drive. Like I've seen people try and upgrade the hard drive.
Yeah.
And it seems like a nightmare.
I bet.
Like you can do it, but it's scary.
Yeah.
They're just like,
I know,
because they got to undo the solder, then they got to pry it off, and then stick a new one down and solder it back on.
And not solder that to something else that's not supposed to be soldered to. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like I feel like they're making this huge deal. Oh, like shame. Basically, they're the world's largest company, and they're trying to milk them for extra money.
But I could see like 5 years from now, they have a robot that can just change the thing super quick, you know?
Yeah.
Like, stick it back in and be like, all right, there you go. You got your 2 terabytes now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And it probably costs like $5.
Right. Probably less than that. But.
And everyone's like, why are you playing with the iPhone 15? Like, the iPhone 20's out. Like, don't you know? Like, totally.
You know what's funny is I saw somebody, not yesterday, a couple days ago, and they had a naked iPhone 12.
Okay.
And so it wasn't, anyway, I was like, without knowing, because somebody asked them, oh, what iPhone is that? I wouldn't have known it was as old as a 12. Like, it looks very similar.
Yeah.
To like an iPhone 15.
I think really the only thing they've changed is the camera bumps.
Yeah, which they were still protruding. It just wasn't like, mine's 3 inches or 3 inches, 4 centimeters larger or whatever.
Well, you think they could at least try and get a better sensor in there.
I know.
Like, if you look at some of the other cameras or cell phones that have cameras in them, they're better low light.
Right.
Higher megapixels. It's like if you get higher megapixels, I think it's going to be worse on low light.
Yeah.
But they're both better on megapixel and low light.
Yeah.
And you just like, you do better.
They will next year. They have to have an iterative.
Right.
Let's make it 20% better every time.
They bump it out and say, oh, now we have a bigger lens, so you have better quality. Like, okay, but still the smaller lens is working better for them.
Right.
So
who knows? Who knows?
Above my pay grade.
Do you have anything more else? All right. Well, thanks for watching Conspiracy Crypto Pirates. Comment, like, subscribe, tell friends.